Today is 9th of January 2026, and I'll be talking about how I started being consistent and started actually chasing my dreams and actually leading my life in the right direction. So this is advice for probably the 13-year-old version of myself who led his life in a way where he had so many big aspirations and so many big dreams, but he never took the steps to actually try to reach a certain goal, to be consistent every day, and to do the things regardless of how he felt or how he perceived himself. So I'll just be talking about like my philosophy of life as a whole, and then I'll shift to how exactly to chase your dreams as a result of this. So number one is just, I think a good way to describe it is called the second why. The first why is for people, because if you have a really strong why, whenever you're feeling down, whenever you don't feel like doing the work that you need to do, you can just look at your why and be like, the alternative is not being comfortable. The alternative is not having financial freedom. The alternative is being poor and staying poor. That's uncomfortable. And as a result, you go and chase your dreams. So for the people that have really strong first whys, they're able to chase their dreams without hesitation. I think this is just the case for many of the unprivileged people, or maybe people that are not as lucky or have the resources at their disposal. So that is why a lot of like the billionaires today came from nothing. They came from being broke. But for the people that do have privileges, for the people that are lucky enough to have resources and the privilege of being able to fail and privilege of like having so many chances, they don't they don't need to chase their dreams actually, because the alternative is comfortable. The alternative is that they stay in their comfortable life without going through hardship, and that's fine for them. But a lot of people in this area also have big aspirations that they want to achieve. So right now I just want to talk about like, if you're in that kind of position, how are you going to move forward to chase your dreams like that? So a big thing is just the second why. The first why is obviously the end result why. Pulling your family out of financial crisis, or maybe like escaping the poverty loop within your family. But if there isn't like a big pressing first why for you, you need to go to the second why. And the second why is related to the process. And ever since I've adopted this second why, my life has just been so much clearer as a result. And I've been seeing so much more progress in my endeavors. So the second why is related to the process. It's related to the process. The second why is leading your life in a way that you can be proud of, because when you look in the mirror, you want to be someone that you can respect. You want to be someone that whose actions you can be proud of. So, a big thing for me was just writing down exactly the kind of person I wanted to be, what he did, what he chased, what he did not chase, who he surrounded himself with, and who he didn't surround himself with. And just trying to live my life in that way, rather than letting feelings and external factors, which I couldn't control, affect the direction that I led my life in. And a big thing when chasing the second why is that it will be hard. It's going to be hard. Your old habits, your feelings, your friends are going to be at like you, and they're going to pull you away from the person you're trying to be. And your job is to continue chasing this person regardless of the circumstances, regardless if your friends laugh at you, regardless if you don't feel like it, regardless if you perceive yourself as your old self. And then, yeah. So, hmm. So then the next thing is, how do you actually do this? And this will lead me on to my next big section, which is just living a life with no regrets. Um, I think a lot of people think that living a life with no regrets means that you do things and then you don't feel regret about the things that you did. But I think that's kind of slightly incorrect because you can't just feel no guilt for hurting someone. You can't just feel no guilt for doing bad actions, for not taking the harder choice, for not being the disciplined person that you say you were going to be. I think living your life with no regrets actually means doing actions regardless of the circumstances that you'll be proud of, that you will not regret, so that you lead your life in a way that you will not regret in the future. And what this basically means is that if you let external factors like feelings, like other people's opinions of you, dictate how you want to lead your life, your mood, your purpose will be just constantly volatile, it'll be up and down. But if you start to have self respect in yourself and only let your self worth be defined by the promises you make to yourself, by by when you said you're going to do something, you actually did it, by keeping the promises that you make to yourself, by being the person that you respect and that you can look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of this, then that's where the real change starts to come in. So the big thing for me when in the past was that I had the wrong foundations. I thought Dream Me would just constantly be the funniest guy around, be constantly be the happiest guy around, and never have the feeling to not do the work, never have the feeling to stray away from the right path. But actually, it's kind of the opposite because Dream You constantly has all these temptations and all these opinions and all these bad things tugging at him. But if you can focus on what you can control instead of what you can't control, you will become your dream self. Because if you do the actions regardless of how you perceive yourself in the moment, if you do it regardless of your feelings, if you do it regardless of other people's opinions and your circumstances currently, you build undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And that is actually the gap between who you are and who you respect. Um, yeah. And I think another big thing is just not needing to impress other people. I thought that I had to impress other people and I thought that other people's opinions of me were what mattered. But actually, the only really opinion that matters is your respect of yourself. So, if you can build undeniable proof through actions, not feelings, not a mindset, but actions, if you can build undeniable proof with your actions, then your identity will again and again be solidified and you will become the person you respect. You will become that person. You will be the founder that makes $1 billion company because you take the actions regardless of how you feel. The guy you respect takes the actions regardless of how he feels at the moment because he knows in the future he'll look in the mirror and he'll be like, I respect this guy. So that's about it. Thank you.